million ways.
Tasha like loves to swear. Like my mum hates to hear Natasha like swear on the podcast, and she's
I love swearing.
I love swearing.
It's the best
Swearing's
thing
great.
ever.
It's amazing. Okay, we're doing it off the pod. Anyways,
Okay.
ready?
Yeah.
It's your girl Nikisa,
It's girl Tash.
and you're listening to Two Chickpeas in a Podcast. Today, no different than any other episode. I start this every
You literally say that every single
Every
episode.
week, yeah.
No different, but seriously, it's no different.
Consistency, people. We're lacking it these days. But today we have a man, 6'5", brown, finance, comedian. It's the one, the only, Eshaan Akbar.
What a lovely welcome. I will say, just for clarification purposes, it's 6 foot. I'm 6 foot.
Oh, 6 foot, 6
Okay.
foot, 6 foot.
I'm 5 inches shorter than the requirement for that.
That's okay. They don't need to know that.
Yeah, it's fine.
They don't need to know that. And you're such a man. You're so tall in my eyes. you know,
Yeah.
you're
So
just-
men are so tall.
Yeah.
But also, I did a video online about that particular trend.
You did.
Saying that it's actually quite, if you deep it, it's quite racist because, and already within 10 seconds we're on talking about race. But basically, 6'5" kind of rules out a large swathes of Asia, if we're honest.
Yeah, especially Indians. You just about make it over
East
5'5".
Asians, they're gone.
Yeah.
Then they say blue eyes, and that is some Aryan shit right there.
In it.
Immediately. Trust fund, because of colonialism and all that stuff, there ain't that many brown people that have got trust funds. So, and then I put that out, and people were like, what's wrong with people having preferences? I'm like, all right, I'm joking, chill out. Jesus.
But the preference is never brown. Like, I think we posted on our story today, like the Indian version, because this girl was doing it, and then she like plays her mum, and she's like, "No, you want master's lawyer,
Medicine, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, but thank you for that intro. Very nice.
Oh, thank you for coming and joining us.
I'm excited. I've seen your clips. I'm happy to be here.
Oh my God. This is, you know what, I gotta say, me and Eshaan, we met at Jessa's book launch for Both Not Half, which you did an amazing job hosting, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Incredible. And it's the first time we've like gone to say hi to someone, and it's the first time someone's turned around and been like, "Hey, are you Two Chickpeas?" I will.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that now we feel like we've made it a little bit. You know?
I'm glad. No, you guys should deserve your flowers. Like
Thanks.
all South Asian creatives doing their thing. I think other South Asian creatives need to like shout about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely. To
glad
be
you did
fair, we have been recognised before. I just want to say we have.
Yeah.
Nihal, BBC.
Oh yeah.
He knew who I was. I was like, "Oh, how do you know me?" He was like, "Yeah, you're Tash." I was like,
You're Tash.
"How do you know me?" That's
And-
crazy.
He knows you from the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's nice, Nihal, because I've worked with you many times, and every time I do your bloody radio show, you're like, "Oh, who's Eshaan Akbar?" I'm like, "Come on, bruv. Why are we messing around here?" Anyway.
I think it's really because you probably met him like 5 minutes before and then probably told him that, "Oh, yeah, that's my sister over there." Because I was
What, Asian
honestly
Media
so
Awards?
confused. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is what happened. Okay,
That is
so
what
you don't know who
happened.
the fuck I
He
am.
doesn't
Okay, that's
know.
fine.
Very excited as well, because for the first time in a very long time in London, I got to see a train crossing.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah?
So where the studio is,
just over here.
So where the studio is, you guys have got a train crossing. You see that very rarely in London.
West London, we've got them all.
It was a southwestern train though, but you can't be beggars can't be choosers. I was just happy to see it.
Oh, good. Well, we're glad to
That
make
fucks
you
us
happy.
all off. We're so annoyed like that. It literally stops. It closes. The barriers close at every 2 minutes.
Why are you?
So annoying.
That's the most Indian shit I've ever heard.
Why?
You're like, keep the barriers open. We will walk into the
No barriers.
The barriers will be closing. The barriers will be
They're closing it for your safety. What do you mean? Why are you crying about that?
No, I'm saying they're just like there's a train every 2 minutes, man. Like I've got a place to
No
be.
trains, no immigrants for Tash, innit?
Guys, I'm just trying to say in it like keep
no
the
barriers.
traffic going.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. Yeah. While the train's coming.
I'll die. That's fine.
Yeah.
To be fair, even when they're coming down, I'll just quickly run across.
I will get to Sainsbury's local even if I die trying.
That's it.
Nothing can stop you.
My local's a Waitrose. Just want to say that.
Do you shop at the Waitrose?
Yeah.
Rah.
I have no bloody choice these days. Waitrose is our local. So I live in Canary Wharf now.
Okay.
Waitrose is the local. Tesco's Express every fucking corner, but like a can of Coke is like £1.50.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, because the expresses they charge more. There's premium.
Yeah. Life is hard, but we move.
But you can go to Lidl and Poplar.
That's true. Actually, no. Do you know what? This is so mad. I just found
I
Asda.
outed where she can shop.
I just found Asda the other day in Isle of Dogs.
Yeah,
I
as
just
in other dogs.
I literally, it's like a 10-minute walk. I got
Yeah.
so gassed. and
So
I
you
was like,
don't
oh my
have to go
God.
to HS Local.
And then literally I entered and there's like all my peoples. I was like, oh my God.
This is
Asians.
where you are
Yeah.
in Asda.
Yeah, because I'm with Finance Bro in it. So like.
She's
Canary
actually
Wharf
got 6'5",
Have you?
blue eyes.
Yeah.
Fine.
Blue eyes?
Yeah, blue eyes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Trust fund?
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know about that.
Come on.
But yeah, we were literally just sitting in the pub and we were like, Nikki was like saying it, yeah. And I was like, she was like, oh my God, you actually have that? And I was like, oh yeah, fuck.
Oh my
I
God.
do.
Is he
I do
6'5"?
have that.
He's not 6'5".
He's 6 foot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Blue Eyes Trust Fund.
Yeah. Trust fund, I
Wow,
don't
wow.
know. I don't know about your finances, but
Finance,
money.
bro. Finance. We got finance and we got finance and Blue Eyes.
Blue eyes.
Blue eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got nothing. That's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Let's talk a bit about you, Eshaan. Eshaan.
Ishan.
Eshaan, exactly. I hear you on stage and like Eshaan. I was like, it's Eshaan.
It is Ishan.
Yeah.
I say it's bizarre. I say Ishan because that's what I've always been called. The actual pronunciation is Ishan.
Yeah,
But
which
actually,
is
I don't
beautiful.
mind that distinction because Ishan as a professional name and Ishan as a homely name, I think works quite nicely.
Oh, Eshaan. It's going to be called
Yeah, let's go
all
with
day,
Eshaan.
every day.
I don't think I would ever call you Ishan. I hate calling people like by their
Anglicised.
Yes.
Slightly anglicised version.
like you know when people are like, oh, my name is Priyanka, or like my name is like Jaypreet. No, it's Jaypreet. Well, you know what I mean?
With the TH.
It's Ishan. Like
Well, I agree with you up to a point because sometimes I think it is unfair to expect that people who simply don't like. I know someone called Srabanti, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now Srabanti is a proper Bengali name.
Yeah.
Imagine
That
you're
is-
wasted trying to
That
sing.
is getting one of those horns Vande Mataram Srabanti, proper mad Star Plus shit, right? I cannot expect Gareth, who can't do the sha, the the
True.
sounds, to do that. So if she wants to go by Srab, I get it.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
People-
that's fine. I'm talking
Or
about
Srabanti.
I'm talking about the Asians when like you know like
Oh, when Asians want Asians to say their name.
yeah.
I agree with that. Because
like,
if you're Asian,
Yeah.
Yeah.
say the
Try a bit. fucking
Even if you
harder,
are a
do you know what I mean?
coconut, you have this much Asian in you to be able to pronounce
can
it
say.
properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
say Srabanti.
Shravanti.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Ah,
Look at you.
anyway, yeah.
Look at us.
Wait. Yeah, let's talk about me.
Yeah,
Ishan.
let's talk about you.
Let's talk about Ishan, my favourite topic.
yeah. Because you know the premise here, so you know it's all about culture, identity, where we've come from, where we're going.
Yeah.
And you're really interesting in that regard.
Let's see.
So my understanding is that you're Pakistani Bangladeshi,
Yeah, correct.
and you grew up where?
Grew up in London.
Grew up in London, East London, East London boy. And yeah, is there anything? I mean, like, tell us a little bit about your upbringing, I suppose, because my understanding from watching some of your like sets online and seeing some of the things you were in is that Islam was part of your identity growing up and not so much anymore. So tell us a little bit about like growing up and your sense of self here as a British Asian.
That's a very interesting question. It's something I talk about quite a bit. So I was very lucky in the sense that although I had a parent from Bangladesh and a parent from Pakistan, that immediately made it quite a political household, right? Because these are two countries that fought each other quite majorly in the War of Independence in 1971. And then they both were such brilliant parents and in many ways very archetypal Asian parents. There's a story where when I was 6 years old, I was asked by an uncle of mine in Bangladesh, he said, Tumi kar bacha, which is whose kid are you? Tumi kar bacha. And I said, Kuttar bacha, which basically means son of a dog.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Because my mum never called me by my name. She would always call me Kuttar bacha. Right? And so I grew up in a house where my mum forbade me from speaking English at home. So I had to learn Bengali, Urdu, and Punjabi because my daddy could only speak Punjabi. So I grew up speaking those languages. When I was 7, my mum heard me speak English. I had an Essex twang. She was pissed off about it. So she made me go home and read Wuthering Heights aloud to her. It was her favourite book. Read it aloud to her like I was on radio. So I ended up with this, whatever this is.
I mean, you have a great voice for
Yeah,
radio,
that's a
actually.
great
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
but it's been years of social conditioning. So language, music was a huge part of my life growing up. Even when my friend, so my cousin, for example, is Candyman, who presents on the BBC Asian Network.
Yeah, we know.
He's my actual cousin, right? You wouldn't put us in the same room together because he's into R&B, hip hop, all this stuff. I was busting out Gawali,
Wow.
Padwal, and Al Gayagnik. This was so, and Rabindranath Tagore. So I grew up with a very deep, rich cultural experience. We had doublers at home, we had harmonians at home. Every time people would come over, they'd be singing, I'd be singing with them. But simultaneously, what's very interesting is that my mum, because she came from quite a rarefied background, my dad, his expectation for me was get a degree.
Yeah.
That's all I want for you. My mum, on the other hand, was, well, you'll get a degree. What I want for you is to become a World Bank economist.
Like they all do.
Like they all do.
Yeah.
But there was this there was always a dichotomy between the two things my parents wanted, me having quite an Asian upbringing at home, externally my mum just accepting that actually he'll get his English training, whatever that entails out there. So much, I think part of the reason why Both Not Half, why I hosted that, is because I have lived my Asian experience and my quote-unquote English experience equally. But what has happened is both groups, white people, Asian people, Muslims, whoever it might be, I've suffered a lot of criticism from all those sides, or they would disregard my experiences to say, well, obviously I'm not English. I mean, I would argue that I am, because I was born and raised in England.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
was
be anything else.
That's what my passport says.
Yeah,
British.
But also the way I think, the things I like, the things I enjoy, they're very English. Simultaneously, they're very Asian.
Yeah.
And they can coexist. People are often quite surprised by quite how Desi I am. Desi is a word I don't like very much, but they're quite surprised by how Asian I am. So that was a long answer. The short answer was I had a really beautiful upbringing where Asian culture, music, everything was at the centerpiece of my existence. But I was very lucky that I had parents who encouraged me to embrace the fact that I was born and raised in England. And they can coexist. So that's how I ended up here.
What about like school experience though? Because I think a lot of the people we've spoken to, or our experience even, was that I think we had this like Asian upbringing at home, bar the mother tongue. I'm very jealous of how bilingual you are, and the connection you have because of the language. I'm so jealous because of that, because I feel like I've missed out. I don't have as much connection. But then we, thrust ourselves into our Anglo-ness, I suppose, because that made sense to us. We knew that language really well. So as much as like I couldn't speak Hindi, Gujarati at home, well, great. My English is like, well, I tried to make it 10-10. I hope it is anyway. And I did feel like a sense of shame, I suppose, like at school, because Indians would get taken the piss out of, your accent. No matter what, it was just this funny thing to everyone. So you didn't experience any of that?
Not really. I think it was weird because I went to private school and I went on an academic scholarship. So I was already a bit of an outcast because I was a brown kid. I was the poorest kid by some distance. I have very core memories of going to get picked up, and my dad had a Honda Accord, a gold Honda Accord, and everybody else had Range Rovers, like these massive fuck-off cars that I didn't really know what they were, but I knew they were bigger than my dad's. So I was already a bit of an outcast, and then the first couple of years, I was a very precocious kid, so I was very good at my subjects. And that, again, made me weirdly more of an outcast, because I think they were just like, who the hell is this brown, poor kid coming into our school and taking up space? And so whilst I did have, like, my issues around getting bullied or whatever, it was never really about my Asianness, because I would wear it quite confidently. I would have debates with people who would say they'd play a Tupac track or a Biggie track, and I'd be like, listen to this, bro. Check this out, right? Check this out. And they'd be like, that's shit. And I'm like, well, you've got no taste in music.
Yeah.
I never felt like I needed them to like me. And it's something it's odd because I'm a comedian, because you'd say, well, a comedian, surely the whole existence is for people to like you. And of course, I'm sure there's a part of it. But I don't know. I've just been very lucky that my my parents, I think because they came from two such distinct places that were at war, they were both quite proud of their individual identities in the house, outside of the house. You know, my dad's family were incredibly racist to my mum their whole life. My dad ended up not speaking to his mum for 14 years because of it.
Wow.
Like, it's a really, like, deep situation. But my mum was like, I am Bengali. I am proudly Bengali, and you can suck it.
Yeah.
My dad was like, yeah, and I'm proudly Pakistani. That's my shit. Deal with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I got it from. I'm like, I'm Asian, and I'm these Asians, and I'm all these things. So what? Deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Clean your
nice.
asses.
That's so nice as well, because like when we were in school, I think like we almost were like not ashamed, but like we were such a majority in our school. It's so weird. Like it was
Right.
weird if you were white in our school.
Right, interesting. Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, we would never. At the beginning, I felt like anyway, we weren't like out there shouting about our like Indianness, I would say.
Right.
Because then you'd be called a freshie.
Yeah.
And that's like the worst thing you could have been called for some
Yeah, and
reason.
people have called me freshie in the past. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, I remember, and you asked a question about the Islam thing. I was 8 or 9 years old. This was before secondary school, so obviously primary school. 8 or 9 years old, and a kid called me skid mark, right? And I said, what's that? And he said, what? And I said, what's a skid mark? And he goes, well, it's when you get a line of shit in your underwear. I was like, why have you got a line of shit in your underwear? And he's like, what? And
Good one.
yeah, but the thing is, I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just like, I've never experienced this thing.
Yeah.
So even though he was trying to be racist quite clearly,
Yeah. You were like,
I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah, you like use the water at home, innit?
Yeah, of
To, like,
course.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No
And
skid mark, nothing.
So then by 9, I believed white people never wash their asses, right? So I've grown up, even at this point, nearing 40, I just like, my policy is, why would I respect any of the shit coming out of your mouth if you can't respect the shit coming out of your ass?
that's it.
I ain't,
Facts.
sorry, that's just my policy.
She wrote a book called that, you know? You should. Yeah, you should. I would buy it.
Why I talk to white people about cleaning their asses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Clean up your shit,
yeah,
literally.
exactly. So, yeah, anyway.
Wow, amazing. So cool. Talk to us a little bit about being brown and being partially deaf.
Being brown and being partially deaf.
Is that a thing? Is there like any issues you face being a brown person in this like deaf community?
Again, it's I don't know. I've seemed to be coming across incredibly confident on this podcast. And
I'm really feeling it. So I want some of it.
So I turned deaf in my mid-20s, and of course, you know, I had 5 operations, and after my first operation, which was under general anaesthetic, 5 hours, I'm coming out of my anaesthetic. My mum's holding my hand. I squeeze her hand to let her know that I'm coming out of the anaesthetic. A very nice, tender, beautiful moment. And my mum throws my hand away. And I'm like, Mum, what's happened? And she's like, how are you ever going to get married? And I was like, bruv, I've just had a 5-hour operation. Can we go back to the situation? So, of course, that kind of shit happened. But again, like, my deafness and the fact that I'm a double hearing aid wearer almost feels like a superpower to me. Like, I've never had an issue with it.
Like you can drown out the noise, literally.
Yeah, you know, and like, you know, in the morning, my routine, I get my rings on, I get my glasses on, I get my hearing. It's just a part of me now.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is I've had messages from people. I had a very nice message when I was on holiday a year or so ago from a girl who was from a Sikh family. And she was talking about how she has been prescribed hearing aids, but she is so worried about how the community are going to take to her. How the Sikh community, because she's a young woman, her being deaf, her marriage prospects. And that really broke my heart, because that is sad, right? And I just, for me, it's never been a problem. And I encourage people, if you need, we don't think twice about wearing glasses. Mm-hmm. Our hearing should be the same.
Yeah.
We shouldn't think twice if you've got hearing issues and use it. But I recognise that for some people, it's an obstacle they feel like they have to overcome. But I will also say it's not just limited to the Asian experience. I think sometimes we as a community, and I mean this for Asians, we do ourselves a disservice by saying we're the only ones who have these issues, right? It's not like there are middle-class white people who want their kids to go into the arts. That's just not true. It's not true that there are people who will not take umbrage to the fact that their 24-year-old white daughter's wearing a hearing aid. those things exist across all these communities. So whilst it's true for our community sometimes, I don't think it just I don't think it's fair to do us that disservice sometimes. But for me, it's never been an issue.
Because you're confident as fuck. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, maybe I am maybe I am confident. I wouldn't call it confidence. It's just like this is it. Like
This is
I
me.
am.
Like,
I am what I am.
Unapologetic, yeah.
Yeah, and like even you saying unapologetic for what? Like what am I supposed to apologize for? I don't get it. Like it's that part of my brain is missing. That wiring. That's not to say I don't recognize there are issues. Of course, I recognize there are issues, but the way I have lived my life up to this point, when people have tried to, there have been times in my life where my own family members, extended family members, accuse me of being gay. I'm not, but they accuse me of being gay. But my brain went, why is that a problem?
Yeah.
I just never got it. My brain just doesn't work that way. So when people have tried to, I think that's part of the reason I've been semi-successful in comedy, which is I go to very racist towns and they just see me just being like absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And they're like, what?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then I suppose that they can't throw any shit at you if you're like, yeah, fuck off. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but because I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Like, my dad's dealt with it. My dad got stabbed by the National Front 3 or 4 times.
That's what I wanted to ask about. It's not like you haven't witnessed or experienced that kind of racism and like terror and fear as well.
Yeah, of course. You know, I'm from a Muslim background. You know, 9/11 was a very important seminal moment. I was a teenager. I was 18 years old when it happened.
Yeah.
They didn't call me to do anything. But anyway, I hadn't qualified fully. To be fair, if you're going to be a terrorist, you actually need, if you're going to fly a plane into a building, you need to complete the course. Anyway, right. So,
the loudness to come out.
So,
yeah.
So those 7'7", you know, visibly Muslim guy, Eshaan Akbar, Muslim name. You know, I had that. I've done gigs where King's Lynn, go fuck yourself if you're in King's Lynn. Sorry to any listeners. I went on stage. 10 lads got up and started walking off immediately. I was like, what are you doing? They're like, we don't want to hear what a Paki has to say. Just straight to my face. Right?
Lynn.
There have been people who have beaten me up for being brown. None of those are my issue.
Yeah.
That's entirely their issue. Even when I got punched in the face outside Time and Envy in Romford and I was bleeding from my lips, I was like, that guy that's all his problem.
Yeah.
It's got issues.
There's nothing wrong with me. Nothing wrong with me at all. Why should I be upset about
And
this?
I wish more people saw it that way, because it is often that you feel like, other people feel like they have to like hide away, or they feel like they can't be who they are, and they have that fear of walking down the street. But like, again, we don't have anything to be fearful of. It's like when you did the Southall Defiance documentary, and you know, there was such
wasn't in it.
sorry, not the documentary, but you know, the talk.
Yeah.
And so many people had been suffering. You know, so many Punjabi Sikh people, Indians had been suffering and being beaten up, and there was this whole massive divide. And really, they're like, what? Just because they've come from India and they're trying to have a better life.
Yeah.
And it's the same for your parents. Our parents have all been through it before.
Yeah.
And what the fuck can we do? Like, we're here now. Like, we need
Exactly.
to...
Also, you was in India for 200 years, bitches. Like,
Yeah,
we've been here
it's
since the
just that fuck
60s,
British
and we're
one.
just catching up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, were you all both born here?
Yeah.
Right, so we're born and raised in this country. You know, my dad especially, more so than my mum, but my dad, he was very much at the forefront of this, and he took the beatings. It's like, I've got a younger brother, right? He's 10 years younger than me. I took the beatings from my parents so that he can go watch the Foo Fighters when he was 15 years old.
Thank you for recognizing that. Thank you.
I've still not been to a concert.
Oh, no.
I'm nearly 40.
No.
But this fucking prick. My mum calls me when he was 15, being like, oh, Eshaan, can you drive Azan to Reading because he's going to watch the Foo Fighters? And I was like, sorry, what did you just say?
Foo Fighters as well.
She was
That's
like,
so proper.
can you go and drive him? I don't understand what the issue is. I'm like, he's 15. I'm 25. You've never let me go anywhere. And she's like, well, yeah, because you're an idiot. And I'm like, and then I'm driving my 15-year-old like muggikins to fucking Reading, waiting for him. Sorry, I'm just ranting now. Waiting for him to finish this bloody concert, and then drove him back. Like a
So you
month.
didn't even get to go
You
in with
stayed
him.
there
You
the
just
whole
waited.
time.
I was in the car, bro.
Oh my God.
Who did he go with on his own?
He went with his mate. He had 2 tickets.
Fuck.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the point being, that's a metaphor for the whole idea that my dad or our parents, you know, we have, and there's a phrase from Hassan Minhaj, we've got the audacity of equality. Mm-hmm. We're born and raised here. I argue with a lot of my Asian counterparts who say, oh, we've integrated, Asians have integrated. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I was born in England, so I can't integrate into myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah. You're othering yourself by saying, because I'm Asian, I have to integrate into it. No, you don't. That's got nothing to do with it. You're born and raised here. Your household structures and your skin colour does not preclude you from being English in this instance. It does if you go to a Turkish cab driver. I was in Turkey and he was like, where are you from? I said, England. He said, no, you're not. And I went, I am from England. Said, no, you're not. And I was like, where am I?
It's the whole like, oh yeah, where are you from? I'll be like, oh, from London. Oh, but where are you from?
Yeah,
where are you really from? And I'm like, yeah, but I was actually
this Chinese American lady, literally the other day on Sunday, I was just talking to her and we were talking about the difference between America and living here, and she, considering living here. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, where are you from then? And I was like, oh yeah, not far from like where you're going to get off actually. That's where I live. And then she's like, oh, okay. Wait a few minutes. Yes, then where are you from again? Like, where are you actually from? And I was like, I'm Indian, if that's what you're asking. I never did not say that you're not American or something. Do you know what I mean? And I just was like...
And the thing is, in many ways, maybe we are a generation of people that are always going to be in that limbo, because when we go to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, we're not from there. Yeah. So we're not going to be the same as them. Yeah. In fact, they're going to look at us and be like, you don't belong here.
Exactly. Like, I've never been to India. Right. I'm 29, never been going. Right. Thanks for my ticket.
I've never been to India. They won't give me a visa.
Really?
Really? Do you want to come with us? We're going.
They're not going to give me a visa.
Oh yeah, because Pakistani, huh? Yeah. But can't you use your British passport?
Sorry, just say this on the podcast. Fuck Modi.
Yeah. Fuck Modi. I can't believe you won a third.
Come at me.
Yeah.
But British passport, no, can't get in because it says British Pakistani.
No, it just says where's your dad from on the visa application. I put PAK. They're like pay.
So rude, man. Cannot believe. Anyway, my point being is that, like, I know when I go there, they're going to be like, they'll just try and rip me off straight away because they'll know I'm not from there. One, I can't speak Hindi fluently. Yep. Two, you can just tell we're not from there. Do you know what I mean? You can just tell.
Yeah, I'm not from there.
They can tell you from a mile away. Yeah. They'll know.
Precisely. Yeah. So it's perhaps we're just going to be the generation that's always going to be in limbo, and perhaps it's going to be the next generation who are going to feel so much more at home because we've had to straddle these two places.
Think so. And that's honestly why we've created the podcast as well, because I always say I think it's really interesting in the time, space and age that we are, that we're really the people like shifting and shaping the culture really. Like our parents, grandparents did it before us, and now we're really taking the reins on that. Yeah, and that's what we're sort of like cultural commentators in that regard, because it's really interesting to see what's happening with South Asian culture and how we're choosing to embrace it. Even just yesterday reposted someone who made a reel about going to the shop in Punjabi attire and how she would dread doing that before, and now she feels like a queen and she's so empowered, and she's just like, why did I ever feel ashamed to just wear this? This is what
and I'd love to, and this is me sounding like a massive ignoramus, but I'd love to talk to more people to understand why they felt shame, where that happened, because that part of my brain just didn't exist. I remember in 2012, I went on this really random diplomatic exchange to Germany, and we had to go to the German ambassador's house for some sort of dinner thing, and I wore a sherwani. Right? I just wore a sherwani because I was like, it's a glamorous event. I got my corset, got my sherwani. I walked in, obviously, everyone's going to be like, fuck it, who the fuck is this guy? And the German ambassador to me was like, he said, unless we have South Asian dignitaries, no one really wears this, and you're representing kind of England as part of this thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, because I'm born and raised in England, but I like this outfit and it suits me, and it's also my culture. Yeah. They can exist at the same time. And so I did that without really thinking about it. I wasn't trying to make a statement. It's just in evening wear, sherwanis are beautiful.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah.
And I don't know, I never felt shame, but I had like one other Asian person who was on the course who was like, I could never do that. And I'm like, what? So you guys can tell me, or people who are listening, maybe you can tell me and explain it to me, because I've never
the sense of shame that came in. I don't know if it's from the playground or what, because to this, exactly how you said about your parents being just like, I'm Bangladeshi, I'm Pakistani, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I am who I am.
Yeah.
My mum's always been that way as well. She's always been
Yeah.
so proud to be Gujarati and like to speak all the languages she can and everything. And I honestly think for us, like, we just maybe experienced some more like teasing in the playground and
And it
things
It
like
was
that.
school, man. Fuck everyone at
Yeah.
school. Like,
Even though you had a
children are so
majority
horrible.
Indian school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's
because
such
it was
assholes.
because there was this whole thing, I suppose, of not wanting to be a freshie, and like we kind of grew up around.
It'd be your own people, man.
Yeah, it is.
But
It
it's
is.
funny. Then you have like someone's birthday party and everyone's doing Bhangra, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
so now it's okay. It's so confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, be your own people, because I get the most criticism from Pakistanis.
Do you?
Yeah, it's partly because I don't practice Islam anymore.
Yeah.
Right, I think that's another thing is there's a lot of religious within the South Asian communities. I think religion plays a big part in our sense of identity and self. And if you turn your back on it, a big part of why the community stays together, I think they think you're turning your back on that. Right. So I will get a lot of criticism for being a coconut, a sellout, a desi, because I don't do religion.
But you did it up until what age?
22,
22.
23.
Okay. And then what was the turning point for you? What was like, I just want to stop practicing. This doesn't.
I think
fit
it
with
was
me.
years and years. Again, similarly, extol the virtues of my parents. My mum gave me a very liberal view of Islam. Growing up, she taught me about a kind God and a beautiful God and a wonderful God. And I think in part because of the Muslim community feeling like they were under siege, and have always felt like they were under siege in the UK, the brand of Islam that I was being taught in the mosques didn't sit right with me. My mum went to a Roman Catholic school. I learnt the Lord's Prayer before I learned any Muslim prayers. That's just her experience, because she went to a private Roman Catholic school. I was a choir boy in my school, the first Muslim choir boy, singing Lord of the Dance with my prepubescent voice, holding a candle in
You
chapel.
can hit those high notes, yeah.
Yeah, fucking loving
Wow.
it. I remember going to a gurdwara, listening to Bart and crying because I was so moved by it.
Oh,
It is beautiful. It is.
moving.
And I remember as a 8-year-old being in mosque, first lesson, and the imam was asked all of us, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, Sikh.
Oh.
And he was like, why? And I said, well, my best friend is a guy called Jaypreet. His dad was a bug, and I think it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. I've been obsessed with wearing a bug my whole life.
Oh my god.
It is like wearing a crown.
I
Yeah.
still desperately want to wear a bug. Anytime I see anyone wearing a bug, there's a part of me that's just like, it's so fucking amazing, right? I've had this from a kid.
That's so lovely.
So in a mosque, you say you want to be a Sikh. Imam slaps me. I go out. 3 boys like, bro, what'd you say? I said, I want to be Sikh. They beat the shit out of me. Right, what the fuck is going on? So there was that. But then also over the years, after lots and lots of study, I think this is the thing that people don't realise. It took a lot of study on my part to reach the point that I did, which is that I believe there is a higher power of some kind, call it an energy or whatever, that is not judgmental and is not bothered about the intricacies of our human existence in terms of what we drink, what we do, who we fuck, and whatever. He's more interested in the soul.
Yeah.
So he, not even the entity, it separates the soul from the mind, from the body. There is no heaven and hell, right? And I lost my mum 10 years ago. And it was one of the most painful things of my life to experience. She was 54. We gave her a Muslim burial, but people would say to me, you have to pray for her to go to heaven. And that really sealed the deal for me, because I was like, hold on, this woman has been nothing but magnificent. And now some angels are going to judge her as to her devotion to this higher power. So I found that very difficult. And fundamentally, I find with Islam especially, and I think a lot of faith, which is you do good things in a bid to get rewarded in an afterlife. So I've never been comfortable with that. And I'm happy to say that with my chest.
Yeah.
At the same time, I can also have a prayer dedicated to my mum on my arm.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine. And people might be angry with me about that, but that's entirely their cross to bear. If there is a God and my time comes and he's like, why have you got a prayer that's specifically about your parents tattooed on your arm? I'll be like, well, you're a dickhead, aren't you? Like, this is ridiculous to me. So I got to that point by 24 where I made those separations. And people might say it's because you want to enjoy all your vices. All right. So when I'm enjoying my vices, be it alcohol, bacon, whatever, it's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think God is gonna, if there is a judgmental involved God, if I've done a whole day's work in a charity shop or whatever it might be, I eat a bacon sandwich, suddenly he's like, well, he's a bad person. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
So that's where I got to, and I hold that like quite confidently.
And that's so beautiful because I share your ideologies and your sentiments and things around it like so much because I think we grew up both being religious. We went to Sunday school, learned about
Were you
Hinduism.
Hindus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were.
But we went to like a Sindhi Hindu school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. I was gonna correct you and say Saturday. Do you remember we used to go to Saturday school right at the beginning?
Yes.
And we were made to, in the morning you'd learn Kathak or Tabla.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then and I would cry every day, and every week, and Nikki would hold my hand. That's so sweet. And then and then you'd have lunch, and then you do like some you'd learn about like the Hindu culture and God and all of this. I barely remember it though.
And it was this enforced thing as well. It was this thing where it wasn't like fun or enjoyable. And I've seen things where
like
you've
school, like
yeah.
discipline.
And like, prepping for this, I've seen things where you said like, my mum always made it like really fun, accessible. It was this really liberal, chill, like, I could ease into it sort of thing. Whereas for us, it felt like the people teaching these things didn't have that like connection with children. It's very much like do as you're told, and this is your Indian, and you just do this sort of thing. And then I think where I started to pull away was I think, and I oddly had this conversation with mum the other day. I was talking about other religions and how beautiful it is, and how I would like to practice that element and bring it into my life. And then she was like, why don't you ever do that with Hinduism? And I was like, well, I did. And she was basically saying, I was basically saying about how me and my best friend, when we were younger, we'd be in desperate situations, and he's Muslim, he's Lebanese, and we do this thing where we pray to Allah.
Okay, yeah.
And we're in a desperate situation. We're like, please Allah, and it would be over dumb stuff. Like he's like a chain smoker. I can't find his lighter on him or something like that. And he's like, please, just need a lighter. And then he opens his bag, and lo and behold, there's a lighter right there. Right there. Same recently for this award show. Like I couldn't find my gown for some reason, and I knew it was in this closet. And I was literally, I wanted to pull my hair out. And I called him, and I said, we need to pray to Allah. Like I cannot find my gown for this award thing. And then lo and behold, and there it is. And then she said, why don't you ever do that with the Hindu gods? And I was like, I did, but I never got anything that I asked for. And I think it's like, everyone has their trauma and things like that. But like growing up, we were told, if you pray, God will, listen to you and give you these things and look after you. And God's all knowing and all loving. And that never sat well with me because we went through like crazy trauma growing up and lived in very difficult circumstances, and I would pray, and none of our circumstances would ever change. And I thought, what God could witness what we're going through. We're good, innocent people. We're trying really hard. And it felt like no one in the world wanted to help us, sort of thing. So that's where I started to pull away from Hinduism and my culture in general, really. Like the patriarchy I was experiencing in that trauma was just like, if this is what the culture is, like I'm a woman and I'm proud to be a woman and I don't stand for this. This isn't equal. This, I don't stand for none of these values line up with me. And I'm young. I'm like not even 10 years old.
Yes, right.
And I've made this decision.
But
I want to relearn now, I think, Hinduism, because I think there is so much more. I think it kind of aligns a little bit with Buddhism in the way that, you're looking at meanings of life, teachings, like stories, like fables, how they, they teach you and guide you through life. So I would like to relearn it because I was taught it in a way of, if you do this, you'll get something from it. But I don't think that's necessarily how religion works.
And I think that's true of a lot of the things that we're taught as we're children, which is, look, for our parents, particularly, parents who are from immigrant backgrounds, I get it. There is so much connection that they're trying to hold on to, and being an immigrant is fucking hard, and raising your kid in an environment that is so foreign to you must have been very difficult. So I can understand their need and desire to push towards a more firm, fervent way of teaching something in a bid to hold on to something. I think we have the benefit as I've gotten older. I had an awful history teacher, put me off history. It's only in my older age. I'm absolutely obsessed with history now. I'm able to go into it with kindness and openness. So same with faith, same with religion. Whatever your journey is, as you get older, I think you have you're equipped with the tools and the trauma actually being one of the tools to help you make sense of these things a lot better, which you don't when you're a child. You'll just be like, fucking, I'm just being told what to do again and again and again. And it's exhausting. So I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. And this kind of nicely leads us into what I really want to talk about. And I swear I could talk about this for hours. So I'm really going to try and rein myself in. But actually, the first time I really properly came across you and like really sat down and like, I mean, I'd seen you here and there online and things like that, but I never watched telly like this, and I've never seen this channel before, this show before necessarily, but I saw you on Pilgrimage on BBC.
Yeah.
And the only reason I maybe took an interest is at the time I was meant to be going to Mount Snowdon and climbing it, and I was like, oh, they're there. And I sat and I watched the episode, and episode 2 of that where you do Snowdon, completely.
It was a good episode. Yeah.
Amazing. It's some of the best television I've ever seen.
Oh, great.
Ever.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah.
Honestly, it's really good. It's so thought-provoking. It's amazing, like watching you all go on this experience together, share your thoughts. And also, I was really thinking about how vulnerable you're being, you know. I think, and then I was like, oh, you know, for a comedian, he's being so vulnerable. But actually, then I thought, in comedy, you are doing that, but in a really funny way, actually. But this was like, you know, that was sort of stripped away, and it was incredible to watch. Honestly, I can't say.
Oh, I'm so glad. It makes me so happy.
Honestly, it's some of the best telly I've ever seen ever. And I want to go on a pilgrimage now. I really thought that experience was amazing. I thought your conversations with everyone was amazing. I loved your connection with Spencer. And you know, him being like, Alhamdulillah,
he says it all the
mashallah.
time.
He was just so embracing that.
He won't stop saying it.
And he used it like actually in like the correct way after that.
Now he's doing this crazy 30 marathons in 30 days in the desert thing.
Yeah.
And every time we train, he'll say Alhamdulillah, and when good things happen, he'll say it's really funny.
It's amazing. It's so good. And actually, what I really liked, one of the parts, I really liked about him learning that word and using it, is he said like, oh, you know, white people do this a lot, isn't it? Like, oh, am I being really offensive by saying this? You know, because I'm a white person. And then you turn around with the best response and was like, well, it's the same as me using like saying Jesus Christ when I stub my toe.
Yeah.
That's literally, I never feel a way about it. And same even like I'll always use the words like inshallah, mashallah, all of this. Because the literal meaning is like God willing. Or like thankful to God, or by God's grace. And sometimes I get told of like, you can't say that, like the Muslims are neighbors, you know, the neighbors are Muslims, sorry, they'll hear you. And I'm like, so what am I saying that's offensive? Like, nothing.
And if a Muslim is offended by hearing it, I'll say it with my chest, fuck off. Like, chill out. Like, come on. Let's all just calm the fuck down. It's not a problem. It really isn't.
One part I really liked in the, I think it is episode 2. That episode had everything.
Honestly, it's amazing.
That's the episode where you made them Saka, innit?
Yes, I did make Saka,
And you're sitting at the table and you're saying like, you know, and this goes back to, you know, the whole God thing, where you're saying like, I will never forgive God because he took my mum away. And I just thought like, I get it so much, because I feel the same, but like our nanny has Alzheimer's, right? And it's like, I don't understand, because although she's here with us, she's not really here with us, right? And I don't understand when like your mum was such a good person, our nanny's such a good person, so it's like, why? Like, I don't understand if we're supposed to be so...
And we're meant to have a lesson from all of this.
And this is the thing, this is the issue that I have with like a prescriptive version of an idea of God. I think it puts too much pressure on God. It puts way too much pressure on God. God can't be perfect. It's impossible. So you're absolutely right that if you're taught that God is perfect, all-knowing, all this, and it's incumbent on us to learn a lesson from these pain points, a part of you just goes, this is nonsense. You know, a year before my mum died, her best friend's 21-year-old son died, and I remember that him dying kind of changed the course of my mum's life. I think actually that was the thing that killed her, to be honest with you. She was just heartbroken by it. Best friend's baby son. And now, you know, with the stuff that's going on in the world, and we see the images in the Middle East and wherever else, it just becomes harder and harder to go, sorry, wait, you're telling me because you believe in this thing, we have to accept that these dead babies are a lesson for us, and that these dead babies in another world are going to get a reward. I ain't going to see it.
Yeah.
You're expecting a lot of mental gymnastics here, bro. And full respect to anybody who has complete faith and belief in that. I think it takes a brave person, particularly with Islam nowadays in the West, to have faith and belief. And they have my utmost respect for having that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't go, for me, unnoticed, where I can go, that shit, for me, is like too much.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And you're a stronger person than I am. That's fine.
Another point of the episode I really liked, and I don't know what it is actually, because I'm the exact same, is you were in a group and you were, I think, one of 2 brown people in that group.
Me and Sonali, yeah.
Sonali.
Yeah.
Who we've also done a podcast with.
Have you? My babe Sonali, I love that woman.
Yeah,
She's great.
She is.
And she's an amazing. Can I just say, Sonali, if you watch this, you're an unbelievable dresser. And every time she puts an outfit on, I'm like, who dresses you? She's like, me. I'm like, that's fucking insane. On the trip, I would always sing songs for her and her husband.
Oh.
She'd send songs to her husband. I'm not a bad singer. Carry on.
Yeah, choir boy. I want to hear this later, actually. But yeah, I really loved that you met this group of Muslim men.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And spoke about climbing the mountain and why do you think brown people don't do this a lot? And I thought that the same as well, actually, because I have a lot of white friends and they're so good at being outdoors and camping and doing all of this, whereas that is like the complete opposite of how we were raised.
Yeah.
And we were raised like, it's not safe to play on the street with people. Like, don't go play with them, sort of thing. And we were like very much kept inside.
Yeah.
But I suppose the bit that was so beautiful, or that was just like funny as well, is that you were just so excited to see some more brown people, and you're like, yeah, my people, where you
Yeah. It was exciting because, in the job that I do as well, I don't think a lot of people will realise this, but I do a lot of miles I have a lot of miles on the clock, and I go to, and I say this in my show as well, outside of the big cities, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, whatever, I go to the rest of the UK.
Right.
In a way that a lot of brown people don't. And I go to places where it is just white people. White people who, other than the people who run the Indian restaurant, have not seen any other brown people. Yeah. By the way, every village in the UK has an Indian restaurant. I don't know how the fuck they ended up there, but they did.
And the corner shops. We
Yeah.
them all, yeah.
But even the corner shops are manned by white people. I've had taxi drivers who are white, and I go, "What the fuck is happening here?"
But the Indians outside, like, I went to Pembrokeshire a couple of years ago, and we had an Indian, and it was shit.
Of course, it was shit.
Oh yeah, it was shit.
Of course, it was shit.
What's a boona? What's a thing? Like,
Yeah.
just give me a proper chicken curry, mate. You know what I mean? Like,
So I see, I'm in those spaces a lot, and when you see brown people in those spaces, it is just a thing. You go, hold on a minute, what's happening here? And so it was nice to see them, and they gave me a good insight into walking. And I kind of knew a bit of it anyway as to why our people might not engage in outdoor activities as much. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
Like the guy who ran the whole length of Africa. Must be nice to have the time.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, some of us have got mortgages
The
to
money,
pay.
the resources.
Yeah, go on, bruv. He's running to every Germany match.
yeah.
Like, all right, bro, I've got a mortgage to pay. Good for you.
So what's happening?
Yeah,
Cost of living, mate.
yeah. Congratulations.
No, I did think that was so funny. Even like we went on holiday to Devon, and then like the whole time we were there, like we just the only Indians we could see was us, and then we went to the beach and we're like Indians.
Anytime you see Indians anywhere else, like even when I was in Pembrokeshire, I think I was the only brown person in that town.
Yeah.
And then I went to a beach, and then I was walking along with my boyfriend, and he's white, and I was walking along, and I'm just like, and I was just like, oh my god, there's some Indians, and we just automatically started waving at each other, and they were all like.
Yeah.
Looking at me as I walked across, like, hi.
Yeah, it's like my brother. I mentioned the Foo Fighters. My brother's really into his rock music. That's his thing, and he's got an encyclopedic knowledge of all sorts of random rock bands and all shits. And I've gone with him to a few of these gigs. We're the only brown people there at these rock things, and you just go a bit like, we're in this weird space. But, hopefully that'll change over time.
Yeah. Well, I love that as well. A lot of Indians, well, like, I don't know, but I used to use this thing called Clubhouse. Do you know if you remember?
Yeah, I know about Clubhouse.
In COVID. And there's so many people that, like, Indian people that are super solely into, like, rock.
Yeah.
Like heavy metal, and I was like, wow, it's so interesting there's a community. There are loads of people, we just don't know where the hell they are. But and by the way, on the concert thing, I can't believe you've never been, but you should come with us.
Come with us.
I've been to Shreyal Ghoshal, I've been to bloody Alka Yagnik.
Yeah. I've taken my dad to Rahat Fateh Ali Khan.
Oh yeah. Oh, so you have been.
Oh, so you have been.
Yeah,
We
but
talked
what?
about
No,
Ben.
what I meant, I meant like a proper like Foo Fighters type concert.
Oh.
There's like a mosh pit and shit like that.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Come to us like a Skepta gig or something. It goes down. Yeah. Wash pits. No, not your thing. Okay.
Skepta.
Let's rewind a little bit though, because you were banker wanker for a little while.
I was.
Yeah. What was that like? How you went from banker wanking to comedy? Explain
Yeah,
that.
so I started my career in finance. You know, the whole thing of my mum wanting me to be a World Bank economist. I think when I was 6 years old, my real ambition was to become an ambassador.
Oh.
I wanted to be a diplomat at
Nice.
6, like a knob. I was 9 years old and I had a picture of Kofi Annan on my wall. What the fuck?
You were like, not just like fed this by my
Yeah,
parents.
it
and
was
that's what
so
I thought. Like,
I was
actually
such
wanted to
a lame kid. I'm surprised I didn't get beaten up more, because if I met me as a 9-year-old, I'd beat the shit out of him, right? That's the truth. So I graduated to uni, started working in banking. I was a private banker in the city. I did wealth management for celebrities. Did that for about good 4, 5, maybe 6 years. And then financial crisis happened. And I used that as an excuse to rekindle my interest in diplomacy. So I did a master's in something called global governance and public policy.
Okay.
Don't ask me to explain what that means. I don't know what it is. And then I worked for the government. I was a government policy advisor for a bit. And then I got headhunted to become a speechwriter in a bank. So I was always doing these serious jobs. But on the side, I used to be a Bollywood dance choreographer.
Wow.
And then I did some amateur dramatics. So I'd act and I'd still dance and I'd perform at shows and melas and all this stuff. And then
Sick.
I decided to do comedy just in the same vein, complete hobby. I knew nothing about comedy. I knew nothing about comedians. I'd heard of Mickey Flanagan, Michael McIntyre, Paul Chowdhury and Russell Peters. Didn't know anyone else. And I did it. And 2 months after, my mum passed away, very unexpectedly. And I had 2 more gigs in my diary, and they were competition gigs, so I just honoured those gigs. The first one was 2 weeks after she passed away. Made the final,
Wow.
honoured those gigs, then got booked for more, and it just kept happening. And then about a year later, I find myself opening for Mickey Flanagan on a boat in Embankment. And because I knew who he was from before, I was like, oh, he's famous.
Yeah.
And I'm working. Maybe I should take this seriously. Maybe should I? So I just started doing it from there. And 10 years later, I mean, it became my full-time job about 5 years after. And now this is what I do. And I'll be honest with you guys, it's every day I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is going
living
on?
the dream.
Yeah.
And now I love comedy. I can't imagine my life without it. And I've been so fortunate with some of the things that I've done. I kind of sometimes look back and I go, what the fuck? You know, doing Sex Education on Netflix was mad. But then opening for Mickey at the O2 Arena 9 times was mad. And doing like the Apollo shows that I'd heard of, Mock the Week that I'd heard of. You just go, what?
Yeah.
But okay, I'll just carry on doing it. So
Could you ever imagine yourself still being like a finance bro or like a working in an office?
I mean, excuse me, even when I was in finance, I hated it. I
Yeah,
hated
fair.
the people. I hated everything about it.
Yeah.
It was so vacuous. It was so empty. It was so nonsensical. And it made me like, I was already, I wouldn't say I was anti-capitalist, but I had my reservations about capitalism. And then as I worked in it, I just got even more, like now I've become like basically an anarchist. I can't wait to burn Canary Wharf down.
Yeah, I feel you.
Move up.
Sorry, I'll keep the residential spaces fine, but yeah, it's weird. So yeah, my career is very, very weird, but in some bizarre way, you know, that whole thing of our parents saying to us, "Get a job, get a good degree. No matter what happens, you can always fall back on it." I think it's come to pass because I have that security that whatever happens, you know, if comedy burns and dies or whatever, I'll just get myself a job
Yeah.
somewhere. So, but yeah, that's how
That
it
won't
was.
happen.
It won't happen
No, it won't happen.
because I am incredibly good at comedy.
Exactly,
You are.
that's it.
You really,
I'm
really
very
are.
good. I'm even better now than the special that you saw. I'm so good.
Really?
Now.
Yeah.
You know what? I just want to say it quickly on that, yeah? That special, like, I don't think I've seen a comedy show quite like it because I feel like you spoke about your British, Asian, Pakistani experience, right? But with so much seriousness, but also like taking the absolute fucking piss out of it as well,
Yeah.
which I thought it was so good. But I resonated with it so much because
good.
Yeah.
because obviously we have similar experiences.
Yeah.
The audience seemed to get a lot of what you were saying as well. And because you took it there, you made some serious points, especially about, you know, the racism that you faced, your dad faced.
Yeah.
I thought it was just brilliant the way that you managed to also be like, okay, look, I'm taking the piss here, but also this is real life. Like, this is my life. This is what I've been through. This is what my family's been through, you know, and I just want to commend you for that, because I don't feel like I've seen a comedy show quite like it.
And I will say, I've seen like quite a few other like South Asian comics, and
they ain't as good as me, bruv.
Yeah, they're not.
You
Really
ain't.
not.
You can try, but you ain't. It ain't happening. They're saying it right now, cuz. You get me, fam? Sorry.
No. It's honestly so true, because I saw a show in December.
Name names.
Who was it?
Who was this brother?
Oh,
Yeah.
you can say that. Wait, she wasn't on our podcast. It's fine.
Yeah.
She.
Yeah.
Oh, that really whittles it down.
Shall I say it?
No, don't say it. I'm joking. Tell me off air.
Afterwards. But she...
I would have cut it out anyway.
It's not someone we've had on the podcast, because anyone we have on is only amazing. Thank you.
Yes.
She heavily relied on people knowing about Indian stereotypes and things. And like her show was kind of flopping in a way, because the room like didn't have like so much knowledge around it and things, and it was really like hard to watch. And I suppose this is where we've like struggled with like our cultural identity, because people are like, oh, if I own it and I take the mick out of it sort of thing, then it's me taking ownership back on things that like people have found funny. But she, like, her whole set relied on like stereotypes and knowing all of this, you know, all the stereotypes and things, whereas you... Like, it was amazing watching you, especially your YouTube special that only came out three months ago, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got another one coming out next
Hopefully, coming out soon.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying that. And I think that speaks slightly to what I've said on this podcast already, which is I'm an Englishman doing comedy for an English audience, predominantly. So because I speak about my experiences as an Englishman who happens to be from Asian ancestry, I speak about it in... I would say quite from a perspective of an equal footing. And so it resonates with people who are born and raised here, but also a lot of my audience are white. You know, when I did Birmingham and Leicester, across the two shows, I had less than 10 Asian people. And a part of me was slightly hurt by it, because I was like, I do Asian gigs. I do those gigs where you lean into the stereotypes and you make them laugh about those things. But for whatever reason, large swathes of the Asian community, certainly my experience, who've been exposed to me, just seem to think that I'm a coconut and a sellout. And they don't spend even 10 seconds thinking about what I'm saying or where it's come from. And, you know, we're a very judgmental group of people, but everyone's judgmental. There isn't, once again, it's not just Asians that are judgmental. You know, EastEnders exists and has existed for 40 years or 50 years. The whole premise being different neighbours judge each other. That is no different from any Star Plus drama. You know, so I see us as equals in every single way. So for you to recognise that actually you're doing comedy where you're speaking about these experiences, because they're English experiences. You know, people who went out packy bashing in the 80s, whether we like it or not, that's a distinctly English experience. It didn't happen in America. They're not going to understand what that means. So... that's distinctly English. So, I will talk about stuff like that. So I'm glad.
You articulate it and convey it in such a way that is so, like, spot on, dead on, like, and it's funny as well, though. Like, you're really, I don't know, I'm not using the right words.
Like,
you're really
like
good.
The serious, when you know, I know we're like, fuck it, I'll go into it. I feel like you took it, like, you'd make us laugh, but then you took it so serious, and it wasn't all of a sudden like, oh, we're getting serious. It was like, oh, fuck yeah, like, I completely get that. Do you know what I mean? It's very, again, articulated in such a way.
Listen, a comedy hour to me is like sex.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have a bit of foreplay. You get into it, and then you slow it down, and you get into it again, and then you slow it down. I love how she's like, I'm so uncomfortable right now.
I was really leaning in, like, yes, I'm glad that he knows that section should always be at least an hour.
Because
it should at least be an hour.
I can't make you.
I'm not uncomfortable. uncomfortable.
Okay.
I'm relating.
Yeah,
always gonna pick
I
up on,
can't
like-
make you I'm doing an hour show, yeah? I can't make you climax after 10 minutes.
No.
I can't climax after 10 minutes.
No.
That's disappointing for everybody. I've got to take you there nice and slow.
Ladies, did you hear that he can't climax after 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Slide
we,
in the DM.
we wrote the Kama Sutra, bruv. We know what we're doing. Right? So you take it nice and slow, take an hour, take the serious bits. At one point, you got to stop doing the sex and be like, I love you.
Yes.
Right.
You're everything I've ever wanted. This is the best night of my life. And she's lying there looking at you going, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And then BAM!
That's it.
It's over.
That's how I write a comedy show. You'll see it.
Shabash. Mashallah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Inshallah, brother.
But I can't wait to see your next show, actually. So you go on tour
February next year.
February 7th is a London date.
2025.
Be
And then you
there.
got
Well, the big one is
Hackney
Hackney Empire
Yes.
Date, which is April or something.
Oh,
Yes.
just kidding. We'll go to both.
Yeah, go to both.
Yeah.
Because you'll see it at like the beginning and the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll see the tour show and how it's developed over the time. I was with my tour manager this morning. We're talking about various other plans with it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think I have become a better comic over the last year or year and a half. And the things I'm talking about, again, I'm just like a lot more confident about being, out with my chest about the things that I want to talk about. I've got another project coming out, which is a show called Hands Down, where I showcase and sample foods that are best enjoyed eaten with hands. There's no cutlery involved.
Wow.
That comes out hopefully in about 3 weeks' time. I've done 5 episodes, so we're just seeing the first series. See
Where
how
can people watch that?
I'll be on YouTube.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And I'm very excited about it because that's another thing, eating with hands is a very visceral and Asian experience and one that I absolutely love doing. And I talked about it on the show when I recorded it, up until my mum's death. I was 29 years old. My mum would feed me with her hands once a week. It was a very core part of my week. I would sit, she'd sit on the sofa, I'd sit on the floor, cross-legged, and my mum would feed me. And I have never been ashamed of it.
Yeah.
And even as a teenager growing up, I would never be ashamed of it because I'm like, sorry, I love my mum. That's the problem, is it? Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to do a show where I lean into this thing, the Asian experience, eating with your hands, the beauty of it. So I'm really looking forward to that coming out. And hopefully not just Asian people, but everybody's going to really resonate with it and go, fuck, that's...
We're already resonating with it. And I was about to say, if you ever need an assistant, I don't think you'll find a bigger foodie, especially for Asian food, than Natasha Beggy.
Great. The thing is, like,
Yeah.
I want to showcase all the food. So on this first series we've got the founder of Dishoom at Dishoom.
Nice.
We did Satnam Sangera at Jikoni. We did Tatia McLeod. We did French patisserie with her. So whole range. And I'm going to show burgers and pizzas and tacos and African food, because this is nature's cutlery and it's a beautiful thing. And why is it that when it comes to food, we use all our senses except our hands,
Yeah.
except our touch?
Very
Doesn't make any
interesting. I
sense.
feel like, when we were younger, like my dad, I feel like we still do now, but I remember my dad would always be like, you're eating with your hands. And then he left. And then we started eating with forks and that. And still, like, if we have roti, like, we'll eat with our hands. But, like, I remember when we were at our daddy's recently, and all our cousins were eating with their hands. Everyone's eating with their hands. And me, you, and our brother were eating with forks. And they were like, why are you not eating with your hands? And I was like, oh, my God, like,
It's true.
that's how our touch, I feel
I think
like.
girls, it's just like nails, honestly. It's
Yeah,
so
mine, I
bad
said
to
mine.
say.
Mine
nails.
I was going to get the healthy nails, the yellow nails.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
We
Yeah.
pay a lot
Yeah.
for that shit.
I get that. That's that's a problem. I totally get that. But yeah, so I wanted to do a show which celebrates a part of me and us
Yeah.
in a way that is just normal, and hopefully the next tour show is going to be a bit more of that, to go, look, this shit. Also, Asians, stop bashing yourselves.
Yeah. For real.
I'm tired of Asians saying, oh, we gossip. Who fucking doesn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our parents just get involved in our parent relationship choices. Show me a parent that doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know why we just have this like trauma porn for ourselves.
Yeah.
Being Asian is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And being British Asian is even more amazing. You get access to both these cultures. You get all our clothes, all our music, everything. You get to enjoy the food. Like, it's fucking great. And we're fit. We're sexy. Our skin is beautiful.
Yeah.
Our hair is beautiful.
Melanin.
Like,
thick
come
hair.
on. And I've got a documentary at the moment, working on a documentary at the moment, where I'm trying to explore why Asians don't seem to have any cultural significance in the UK, despite being the majority minority. And I've always had this sense that for some reason Asian people, we get our validity from our proximity to whiteness or our proximity to blackness.
I think so. I think that's changing now, actually.
I hope so.
I was having a conversation with Almas from Dialed In. She's
Yeah.
a sick DJ. You should go to like a Dialed In event. So good. And we're kind of just gushing over each other in the DMs. But we were talking about she's going to go to Glastonbury.
Yeah.
And there's the first ever South Asian stage that's going to be at Glasgow this year.
Sick.
And we were talking about the significance of that. And she was saying, throughout, across Glastonbury, there would always be some sort of element. There'd be a DJ, there'd be a show, there'd be something. But we have our own stage this year.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, like, how exciting it is to be, like, a young brown person, like, getting to witness this and experience this. And how, like, the younger generations, the younger generations to us, get to experience this beauty, the celebration of our culture, how people really want to tap in. They want to have some of our flair, our spice, our everything. And she was like, oh, people have paved the way for me to get here. And I was like, yeah, but now you're holding that torch and that baton, like you're doing it. Like, and it's so exciting. And the same with you in the comedic world as well, like with what you talk about in your comedy at your shows, or if you're doing your documentary about like eating with your hands, or even the documentary you just mentioned about comparing ourselves to white people and all of that. And I just think the South Asian community is really having a moment across all media, TV, film,
it's great.
Comedy, music, everything, and it's so exciting to see. It's so exciting to be part of it. And you're making so many waves.
No, thank you. I mean, I just want to do my little bit on it because I love being Asian, and I love being English. They're both fucking great.
Yeah.
People get wound up about some of the stuff I say. I've done routines about saying people are jealous of how good the English were at colonialism. The French tried it, the Portuguese tried it, Dutch tried it. They failed. Sorry, bruv. We were the best at it. What are you going to do? It wasn't great, but we were fucking good at it, right? And it's undeniably impressive that a tiny country, an island nation, owns 75%. Where's that Britain? Because this Britain is shit.
Yeah, for real.
Where's that ambitious Britain gone? We need more of that shit, So I'll say stuff like that, and people will be like, oh, you're a sellout. And I'm like, nah, bro, I can be both things.
Yeah. It's really interesting you say that, actually, because I always think that as well, like in history, if I watch things like on TV, like the historical about, the British Empire and things like that, I'm always championing like the white people almost, like, because I've got that Britishness to me. But then equally, I'm like, oh, I'm the other side of that. Like my ancestors, like they were there.
Yeah, of course. But we can straddle both. And, it's so nice for me, like as a nearly 40-year-old, because I remember when British Asians were having a moment in the late 90s, when Nitin Sawhney, goodness gracious me, Prince Naseem Hamid, Punjabi MC, shit was popping off.
Yeah.
And I loved it because I was already in.
Yeah.
So people were coming to me being like, tell me about Darshan, tell me about that song. And I'm like, right, this is a good song, Darshan is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And all of us paid the price. And then what made it even worse is the thing that brought us together, the Sikh riots, the Altabari Park incident in the late 70s. Suddenly people went, I'm not Muslim, I'm Sikh, or I'm Indian, or I'm this, and Asians just split. The thing that they did to us 250, how many years ago, we started doing to ourselves. My dad, who's been a paramedic for 35 years, he said to me, the difference between us and them, if a black person gets stabbed by a police officer, other black people are helping him. If an Asian gets stabbed by a police officer, Asian walking by goes, what is he?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the problem. And now we're seeing a moment where Gujaratis and Singhs and Sri Lankans are in the same space enjoying the culture.
Yeah.
You've got a Sri Lankan guy winning MasterChef. You've got a Bengali woman winning Bake Off.
Yes.
This is good shit.
Yeah.
This is what South Asia is.
Yeah.
But I do think, the documentary you were talking about, sort of exploring like Indianness and comparing it to Anglo-ness and us sort of measuring ourselves in that way. I do think there is this unapologeticness that is coming out in people now.
Good.
And I think that is why we have like the Bake Off winner, the MasterChef winner and things, because people are just like, I'm not going to dial down my heat for you, mate. This is how you eat it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I love, that's just like like an example, but there is this unapologeticness that I feel like is happening across the culture, across all mediums and formats, and it is so exciting to
And
see.
of course, I mean, there's still big barriers because we still don't get the credit where we should get them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone's talked a lot about turmeric lattes or whatever. The new one for me that gets my back up, gua sha.
Oh, yeah.
You know, women are doing gua shas now.
Yeah.
That's a Bengali thing. No one ever mentions it.
I didn't know that was
The
a
word
Bengali
gua
thing.
sha comes from Bengali. He's doing this to.
I never knew that.
He's doing this to your cheeks. Gua sha, gua sha, gua sha, gua sha. So my grandmother would use a gua sha with her skin all the time, and now all these fucking yogi Karens or whatever walking around gua shaing. But that's capitalists just not giving us credit.
Yeah.
Pink Himalayan salt is not from the Himalayas, it's from Pakistan.
Yeah. Oh.
Call it what it is. But they're not going to, so we're going to have to do it
Yeah.
and let them know. So I will let them know through my
Let them
comedy.
know.
That's what I love about our podcast though as well, and I love speaking to you as well because it is our podcast is about celebrating. Yes, it's all about learning and educating each other and all of this, but it's also about celebrating. And I feel like we don't celebrate ourselves enough. And someone like you has come in and been like, yeah, we really fucking need to own our shit and celebrate everything that we
and
are.
that's one thing that I would absolutely look to the black community and admire is through whatever trials and tribulations they've been through, they've celebrated their culture in a very specific way that I don't think Asians have done. But I would argue that particularly in Britain, a lot of the race cultural touch points centre on the brown experience, right? The 80s with Paki bashing, 9/11, a lot of refugee sentiment centres on brown faces. Brexit was about stopping brown faces being here. All this stuff, we are at the front of it. But for some reason, there is no cultural weight to our conversations when it comes to race. Years ago when they came up with BAME, just by virtue of numbers, black shouldn't be first. We're the biggest minority in the UK.
Yeah.
Idi Amin sent Indians en masse in the 60s and 70s to the UK. We have large swathes of the UK that are predominantly Asian.
Right.
Your Leicesters, your Birminghams, your Leeds. So if we have those spaces, why then, when it comes to conversations about race, when people think of people of colour, they ain't thinking about us.
Yeah.
When people are thinking about race debates, they ain't thinking about us. When they think about diversity initiatives, they are not thinking about us. And I think it's high time that us, being South Asians, go, hold on a fucking minute. You'll eat our food, you'll take our words, you'll enjoy our culture, you'll wear our sequins.
You'll make the curry the fucking national dish of
Yeah.
the country. Yeah.
You will accept us to read your news. You'll accept us to decide your policies. But you don't think we're cool? Sorry, that ain't going to work.
Yeah.
And I said it on my special as well. You know, Asian men aren't viewed as Asian people aren't seen as sexy. But hold
Asian
on.
men are so sexy.
But most Miss Universes and a lot of Miss Worlds tend to come from South Asia, by the way. So what's going on? But then you want our hair and you want our skin color. You think the Asian skin tone is the perfect balance between white and black. So okay, let's do it then. Let's have a conversation. So for me, I've always had this sense of loving being Asian.
Yeah.
And I hope that people will just go, if they're into this podcast, fucking let's do an uprising, bruv.
Yeah.
Let's do it. It's our time, man.
Feel empowered. I'm ready
too.
to uprise.
I really wish I had your mindset from like the onset and like school didn't. I feel like school is the reason why maybe we didn't love it from like day dot 100%. I love being Asian. I love being Indian. I love it all now. Not like now, but like, you know, as I grew up, I loved it more and more and more. But yeah,
But also, do you know, I think a lot of schools have taken for granted that we were good at subjects.
Yeah.
There's a reason that there are so many Asians. The fact that there are so many Asians who are doctors, it's not for me. That's ridiculous. Given the fact that we had to overcome these barriers, the fact that there are Asians at the height of the medical industry, in business, across all these spaces, we should be revered. Because my dad, your mum, was getting beaten to a pulp, being called a Paki, not being accepted anywhere, and their kids have gone on to run your businesses.
that's it.
So what does that say about who we are as people? Despite the fact that you spent 250 years taking all our wealth away from us, we still survived. I'm a living example that you can overcome a famine. Look at the state of me. You famined us in Bengal, we survived. You kicked us out of Uganda, we survived. So I am done and have been done for a long time with this idea that Asians are meek and they keep their head down and they get on with it. Nah, bruv. We are giving you everything. You had no problem taking our music when Dre was sampling our songs.
Yeah.
No problem
Timbaland.
then.
Yeah.
And Timbaland, but even Dre did.
Yeah.
Timbaland did it. Dre did it. There are loads of examples. Britney's done it.
Yeah.
Shahid Khan, Naughty Boy.
Yeah.
He collaborated with all these people.
Yeah.
No one gives him his flowers.
No.
So we're doing it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always said this actually, that South Asian people are the most resilient people in the world. And
Yeah.
I believe that. Like, truly, we're the most resilient
Unbelievable.
people. Yeah.
Because I'm not a big fan of American South Asians for a separate reason. She broke my heart. But the fact that American Asians, Indians especially, are like at the top of that country, despite everything they've had to go through, tells me that the world should be looking to us and going, right, what is your secret? Why are you so beautiful? Why are you so intelligent? Why is your hair so amazing? And why have you taught us so much that we're doing now? Like yoga, like turmeric lattes, like making sure we wash our
Because we
asses.
really would run the world, though. That's the thing. I feel like British people came to India, saw what we had going on, and took it from us because they were like, "Yo, we think we're the biggest empire in the world. Like, Indians about to take over." I truly, truly believe that. But then I suppose, like you were saying, you know, everything we were just talking about, my issue is that we have a brown prime minister. I just think, use your power well. Then, if you get to that position of power, then do you know what I mean? Like, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, I think we can talk about that another time because I have my own sense of our politicians and particularly our British Asian politicians and why we've ended up with who we've ended up with.
Zara Sultana, please be my prime minister. Thank you very much. But yeah, we are running out of time. I suppose I want to end on one thing really, and then some promotional stuff. But I want to end on the fact that you're going to be 40 soon. Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You said
cool.
it like 10 times.
I've
That's
said it
it.
10 times.
Okay, yeah, cool. Just double checking.
Is this your last year?
God, what was
You
it?
say you're 39.
I'm 39.
Whoa.
35.
Oh, hi. I'm 35. Oh, thank you.
And I think you've had like an incredible, I mean, your journey into comedy started about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was 29, yeah.
And yes, I suppose what as a last take sort of thing, what have you taken from the last 10 years and what are you excited to experience in your 40s?
What I've taken in the last 10 years is a very good question. What I've taken from the last 10 years is be open to everything, right? And it's coincided with, for the wider Asian population, as we've talked about on the podcast, a real moment. And that's a very exciting thing that's happened over the last 10 years. And I'm open to all the possibilities and opportunities that are coming up. One thing I love about stand-up is it's very much one of the only art forms, possibly the only art form, that rewards age and wisdom. There's a reason why the best stand-ups in the world are in their 50s. Because you experience more and people relate to you more. You have more to say when you have kids or whatever it is. Over the next 10 years, I'm just looking forward to having more fun experiences, enjoying my life, leaving the tiny mark that I can leave, because life is so short and unexpected. Because my mum was 54, and I think people who listen to the podcast that might have lost a parent or someone they love dearly, the age at which they die becomes kind of like a benchmark. So in my head, I've got 14 years. I've got 14 summers left to do the best I can and have the best time. I am not a kind of person that worries too much about stuff, that holds too many grudges. Life is so short. It's so unpredictable. The last 10 years have been beyond anything I could have imagined. So Lord knows what the next 10 years are going to be, and I can't wait.
We're so excited to see. Honestly, it's probably been my favorite episode we've ever recorded.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm not joking, really, really, truly. And I think what you're doing it at like A-class plus level. Like, honestly, you're really a really special person. Your insight, your knowledge, your experience, your everything. I'm in awe of you completely.
That's very sweet.
Yeah, really.
Ditto, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to get like a massive head. But thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm feeling shy now. You can't see it, but I am blushing. I'm like,
Oh my God,
Took away the
like
confidence.
my under tits are sweating.
Mine too.
I've got sweaty under tits.
But thank you, and we can't wait to come to your tour and
Yeah.
like see your all your new shows and
Yeah,
everything.
good, thank you.
And you're the guy, man. You're the guy.
man.
Thank you. I feel like I've learned so much, and I've been reflecting while you've been talking as well, which is really, really lovely. And
Oh, good, I'm
Yeah.
glad.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I feel like an old uncle.
No, you don't look it. That's the other thing I
No.
wanted to say. You don't look remotely near
Yeah,
40
I can't
anyway. You
believe
can
you said
really be
yeah.
in your 20s still, really.
Yeah.
Truly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
8 hoodies help.
Yeah.
that's
Gua sha.
Guasha.
Guasha.
It was gua sha, baby. And
But
I
the
laugh.
melanin is melanin.
Melanin is melanin.
Yeah.
And also, I laugh a lot.
Yeah.
I would say 80% of my day is laughing. And usually it's like, I will say horrible, horrible things to elicit the most laughter. So those are my 3 secret tips.
That's the way
Yeah,
to
I
go.
love that.
Oh, and Body Shop Vitamin E Rich Night Cream.
Yes. Yeah, you know about this. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Amazing.
Yeah.
So don't forget to go get tickets to Eshaan's
Yes.
tour next year.
When is this going out?
As soon as possible.
How soon is soon?
When do you want us to put it out?
Well, because next week I've got 2 things that I would love people to come to.
Yeah.
next
Okay,
week,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, we'll turn around.
We
Okay.
can put it out by Monday.
Is that good?
Okay, so if you listen to this on Monday, 17th of June, Top Secret Comedy Club. I run a brand called Setlist Sessions where we're going to run a load of events to celebrate South Asian culture. We've got a comedy session. There's just a comedy show at the Top Secret Comedy Club. Go and see that at 7:30 p.m. But on the 21st of June, we've got the pub quiz, Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu, Bengali. Please do.
Yes, yeah.
21st of June. We had our first one a couple of months ago. It was one of the best nights of my life. And as a quote, one of my brother's friends who is 21 in Brighton, he's bisexual, he's cool as fuck, he's got like nose ring and thing. He looked at me and he said, that was the best night of my fucking life. And I've had an orgy.
Oh,
So you have to come to that 21st of June, Star of Kings. You don't need to be South Asian. We're just celebrating South Asian cultures. It's a stupid fucking quiz. The music and after party is amazing. Please come to that. You will not regret it.
You heard it here first. It's better than sex. Go get your tickets now. So yeah, that's the YouTube specials are coming out. There's a tour next year. The pub, the Comedy Secret Club. There's everything.
Celebrity
happening.
Masterchef is coming out soon.
Is it? I didn't know
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So it's all happening. Eshaan Akbar, follow him. What are you doing if you're not?
Yes.
And until next time, we're so gonna bring you back. If you'll have us. So yeah, until next time. It's been your girl Nikita.
Been you guys, Tash.
And your boy Eshaan.
Yes.
Brap, brap, brap.